Welcome to Bigger Than Rooted and Real, the space where we don't sugarcoat life, we speak truth with love and stand on unshakable faith. With your host, Charlease Hatchett, cancer warrior, encourager, accountability partner, and the woman you call when you need to hear it straight but still feel seen. This podcast is where we talk about what's really going on: healing, identity, relationships, purpose, faith, and walking tall through every fire life throws your way. Because life, it gets loud, but God is bigger. And here, we stay rooted, we stay real, and we grow through all of it. Let's get into it.
Today, we're going to have a conversation about life. This is the 60 Club.
This 60 Club right here. That's what it looks like.
Introduce yourself, 60 Club.
Sure. Hi, I'm Regina Whitlock. I'm out of Grapevine, Texas, and I'm proud to be joining the 60 Club.
I'm Yolanda Harris, and I'm out of Roseville, California. And yes, I have joined that 60 Club, and I'm happy to be in it.
Hey, I don't complain. I really don't. I mean, aging sucks. I will say that. It could suck. Once your knees start cracking and you go to reach for something, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
because once menopause hit, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it does beat the alternative, right?
It beats the alternative. And like I said, I don't complain. I have been on death's door. I have battled cancer. I have heard the word from God when I sat in my bed for 3 days and I heard him say, if you don't eat, you're going to die. I fully understand what it is to battle for your life. So I don't complain. I'm thankful that I'm here. I'm thankful to be here with my girls. And let me ask a couple of questions. I wanted to talk about parenting. Parenting in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on our sons, our daughters, and how they're navigating?
Wow. That's such a loaded question. So it can go in so many directions as it relates to career, dating, finding a spouse, and getting married and navigating that. But overall, when I look at the dynamics of our children, male versus female, I'm starting to see a trend that the females tend to be thriving more and they tend to be single more. So I'm not sure that they're happy about those two things going together. They probably like a spouse and make less money.
Yeah,
But, but so that's quite interesting. And then how do you support your son navigating through all of this, and how do you create? So we have a lot of things here. I mean, I think COVID has really done a number on our youth, our kids that are entering into the workspace. They don't have the same work ethic or thought trend as baby boomers or Gen Z. We're Gen X, right? We're Gen X, right? Right? I think we're Gen X. They just they don't want to do that same 9 to 5 hustle bustle. If they could do their job from 9 to 2 and get it all complete, they'd rather have their 3 extra hours versus giving it to a company like it used to be. Like you have to wait to Fred, what was it, the Flintstones?
You really dating yourself now.
Yeah. Flintstones were in the 60s, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. And there are many topics that we can talk about, and prayerfully we'll come back and we'll have this discussion again and again. And prayerfully we can open this up and do this type of conversation live and get some feedback going in. I had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine, and she made a statement which I 100% agree with. She was like, I wonder if we've given our children or a disservice in how we raise them today, because we in my generation have tended, or our generation have tended to give them things that we didn't have. So what happens is they've never they've never been in a state of want or need.
Yes.
And when you've never been in a state of want or need, then you don't have that drive. What do you ladies think about that?
I think that that is definitely true. And I think it's just a generational thing from our parents, what they gave us. It's just normal. We're either going to try to not make our kids either be without or suffer for things that we felt that we should have had or things that we've asked for when we were kids. So, the simple things of, okay, well, you can only play, I'm gonna just use this example, you can only play one sport at a time because we only gonna commit to one sport. Where that's how I grew up. It was like you have one activity, figure out if you want to do it. And if you don't like it, then say you don't like it, and then we'll move on to another activity. But we're not going to do multiple like sports or multiple things that's going to consume a lot of time. Well, with our kids, that's what we did. We were like, okay, figure out if you want to play basketball, we're going to play basketball. But you're going to play basketball through the whole season and you're going to get through it and then you're going to determine whether or not you want it or not. If you don't want it, then we'll move on to something else. Well, my kids, they have now chosen, no, our kids can do any sports. They can do multiple sports at 5 different times and we can be driving all over town in 4 different directions because we want to give them options.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I think it was opposite for us growing up. East Coast, 2 up, 2 down, VA, 757 for life. I just got to put that out there. Virginia, East Coast, baby. So when we were growing up, because we had a lot of athletes come out of Virginia, especially the Tidewater area. And my husband, for example, he participated, I think, 5 sports. So he went from sport one season to the next, to the next, to the next. When we moved to Texas, our son was in the 10th grade. They were insisting pick one sport. And we were like, why one sport? Oh, well, they only want you to participate in one sport and they want you to focus only on that one sport. And it's like, well, no, because if you go from one season to the next season, you're staying in shape season after season after season. Now, you may be using different parts of your body based on what that sport is, but you're staying conditioned as an athlete. We were blown away when they were like, oh, no, we only want you to focus on one. Well, from our side of the world and our generation, if you participate in sports, you stayed out of trouble.
Correct.
That is
Yes,
true. That is true.
So I know our son, we didn't push dating in high school. He didn't date until he went to college. But he and our daughter were in sports, period. I mean, that was our life. Even when we moved to Europe and we were in an international community school, and within that school system, the parents ran the extracurricular activities, and I wound up running the basketball program for kindergarten up through 8th grade. And yeah, we were busy. And then when basketball season was over and the spring came in, we did after school curricular activities that were on campus. So we wanted to always make sure our kids were active and involved. So Regina, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I think children that are involved, and this is what I'm seeing. Children that are involved in sports where they depend on other people and they can work with others, they tend to thrive more in the workplace.
Correct.
Children that are more solo don't. We're seeing that trend. But one of the things what I was writing down about when you mentioned about parenting, I look at us now we have to change the script in terms of accountability parenting. We don't hold our kids accountable. So yes, I don't mind if my kid does 20 different sports, if they're going to give it their all at 20 different times, right? But it's holding them accountable. You pick something,
You stick to
you're
it.
part of a team, you stick to it.
You
and
don't
it's
quit.
Accountability. But I think kids with sports understand that more than kids who didn't play sports. So how do you guide those children, right? So, but as parents, I think it comes back to now we're at this age, and I think back in the day, I used to think the 60 crew, that was grandmama and them back then, right? So now I'm in that age group, and I'm like, what are we giving back to these children? What are we really teaching them about just accountability, holding themselves accountable? What is your personal best? I mean, people don't, because we've coddled our children and we just like everybody gets a prize. No, there's winners and losers in the world, and it's okay. You can be the winner, and sometimes you're the loser, and it's okay. You can grow, you can fail forward, you can grow from loss. But children, parents, oh no, they shouldn't hurt themselves, or they want to coddle them. No, they need to get scuffed up like we did, so they can understand is life is rough. It's serious out here. This is no come to mama and daddy and we figure it out. If you're grown kids, they got to figure it out.
Well, I'm concerned with the young ones and the sports nowadays. It seems like everybody needs to get a medal and everybody has to be a winner, and there can't be winners or losers, or the kids are having hissy fits. Then the parents don't know how to deal with it, and then they want their kid to have a participation medal.
Right. And that's the thing. Parents have to hold themselves accountable because sometimes they're so busy not trying to be the bad guy. Oh, I just want to be the friend. I don't even want to fight with the damn kid. I want to hissy fit fine. Give the kid a medal. It's like, come on, grow a parent. It's like, be a parent. Be the parent your parent was. Doggone well, if your mama gave you the look, you straightened up. You didn't even have that conversation, right?
We had that conversation today because I was saying, back in the day, when we would go into the store, all I had to do was look. No conversations, nothing. You will not get into. They try you.
You're right.
We had the
And our children will.
And some parents you see in the store, the kid is whining and they're just giving in and buying them whatever and trying to satisfy them. No. You have one time to act out in the store with me.
Right.
I will take your behind outside and we will have a come to Jesus meeting. And then we will go back into the store and we'll try it again. And if you don't get it, then we're going to have it again. But no, I only had to have it once. And I had no problems whatsoever. And even if they felt like getting to that point, all I had to do was give that look. And it was squashed.
Right.
Today, oh my goodness.
Yes.
The look,
Today.
today
Parents
is
are
the counting down.
Yes,
We
the parents,
count-
the
we
teachers,
count- we count down again.
disrespect and no self-accountability.
But
That's what I feel like.
communication-
No self-accountability.
Communication and discipline as well. It's like tough love versus gentle parenting. And how does that affect a child's development? I am so sorry. This world is rough. And if you, as a mom or a dad, prayerfully, both parents are in the home, if you do not coddle your baby and you do tough love, understanding what tough love means,
Right.
consequences to your actions. You're not going to sit up and talk back to me and not listen to what I tell you to do and have me ask you, or say to you the same thing 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And I'm okay with that. That's not happening.
Right.
That's not happening. I'm not your friend.
Exactly.
I'm your mom.
And I think a lot of parents make that mistake, want to be a friend.
And then they want to give the children too many options.
Mhm.
Children need routine, order, and direction.
And discipline.
And discipline.
Discipline. But I just think parents are more concerned about how it's going to make them feel. And not do the hard work and discipline their child or teach their child. I just rather forget that. I'll just give them the iPad. Just get them out of my face. That's really, they don't want a parent anymore.
Well, I'm glad you brought up iPad. I have a friend. Love my people. Shout out to my people. I know they get tired of me because I be on social media and I'll see these little parenting things, right? And I'm like passing it over. But one of the biggest things that I saw, which completely blew my mind, children should not have phones or iPads. They shouldn't. What was explained is everything is so fast paced. The games are so fast paced. Their brain is wiring to be fast paced, right? So when they don't have it, their brain is still going fast paced. They don't know what it means to slow down. They don't know what it means to process. And then when they get into a situation where they're uncomfortable, they freak out, they have tantrums because they're so used to their brains going so fast. And what the doctor was saying is that we are training these babies in the wrong manner,
Yes.
and it's going to be a problem.
We're overstimulating them
Yes.
by devices. And so when you do that, you're not, like you mentioned, you're not training a child to be able to, for example, go and sit at church for, what is it, 40-minute sermon? Sometimes it's 35 minutes. They can't sit that long because their
Right.
brains are trying to figure out, well, what, so you got to give me something in order for me to sit here for 30 minutes. And sometimes that's not enough. So, it's like, I remember when our kids were young, before we were taking them to church, we would have these sessions. We're going to sit on the couch and you're going to sit there and it started off with 10 minutes. Okay, you did a good job. That was great because 10 minutes was today. Tomorrow we're going to go to 15 minutes, or next week we're going to go to 15 minutes, to where we got them to the point where they could sit for the 45 minutes and not trying to figure out where they were going to go, what they were going to do, and looking for something. So, it's that overstimulation. And, at the end of the day, some parents are saying, that's allowing me to function as a parent. Well, no, that's a substitute for parenting.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
The device is not gonna say no. The device is just gonna suck them in, and this creates addictive behaviors.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. I mean,
Oh
our
my gosh.
children
Mhm.
are really suffering now with all of this, all the drugs that are out there that are, everything
Instant
is.
gratification.
Yes, exactly. So we have some work to do. I mean, I think we're in a place that's a dangerous place in society.
Technology has its
Uh,
strengths and it definitely has its weaknesses.
mhm.
So let me ask you, so we're gonna get off the kitty ones, because I don't have little grandkids. Regina, you don't have grandkids.
Not yet.
Yolanda, you do. Okay, but dating these 30-year-olds and up.
Again, I'd have to say this again, we have to go back to social media, the internet. I mean, the thing that we put in their hands as a child, now this is how they interact with each other. It's sad that you have to meet someone through the internet. And I know back in the day, it sounds so glamorous, people getting married at hitch.com or whatever. That's what was the one that the religious one that you could hook up and find your spouse?
So the H.
Harmony.
Harmony, I think it was
I don't know.
Match.com and all of those. But it's sad that you have to put your profile in a deal. And I think back then it was more authentic because people were more honest.
Right.
But now
They're
you don't know
catfish.
who you're getting in there, and they're just
And
lying.
people are dying, and people are being killed and being lured based on these profiles. So, as you know, as you are well aware, my son and I participated in this particular dating experiment, and I had to be who I was. And I had to hold fast to what I know what was true. What are your thoughts on your son or daughter dating someone that's not equally yoked with them? How do you handle that? Have you run across that? Are you verbal about it? Are you quiet because you don't want your kid to stop speaking to you, so you just don't say anything? And then later on, when they come back to you and they already told you they want to get married, right? And then the marriage does not work out, and then you then say, well, you shouldn't have, and then it was like, well, why didn't you say something? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's interesting. Yes, because I'm currently living through that. And it's tough because I think when I think of people, I never want to think of someone not equally yoked, meaning, am I looking at them because I'm here and then they're there? So I'm all for people who love each other coming together and want to thrive together. But equally yoked to me means on the same mindset, right? My goal and aim is to thrive and grow, and we're gonna grow as a family. We're gonna get the, and I'm using the kid term, the bag, get the money, and we're gonna do this thing and figure out our life together. That to me, I'm on board with that, because sometimes people can come from two different walks of life and have a great meeting of the mind, and that person can thrive and things can move and fireworks. But when you have one on the other side where it's not equally yoked, it's a come up, and, where you could feel like it could be that. And that's the struggling part. I mean,
Those
because
rescues.
those rescues. Sometimes you see it from over here and you can see that this is not going to help you get to where your desired goal is. And that is so important. When we were mentoring kids, we still mentor kids, but I remember a couple, the Ingrams, that we met, and they met in college, much like you guys, and they've been married a long time, but they own McDonald franchises. They're doing very, very well. But they came and they spoke to the kids and they talked about it's so important who you pick as your partner, who you can thrive and grow with and have a meeting of the mind. So sometimes I think boys and girls can get caught up in the physical lust of it and think that I'm
with social media, that's all they're doing is getting caught up in the TNAs.
And the likes, right? Oh, how many? I see you like what's up song. Here we go. You liking my picture and all that.
Right.
And so I just like, wow, I'm thankful that I don't have to go through dating in this scene, but I'm praying that, God, how do you find your true person? That's quote equally yoked. And mama can't, though I want to do the setups and I tried, I was like, she seems like a nice girl. And it was like my son said, she was shy. He didn't. I was like, she got 2 jobs. She was a bartender and she works at Toyota. She was in marketing. She was thriving. Her dad, I got.
We're not calling nobody out. No, nothing.
But I'm working on that. So helping them to get to where they need to be and helping that person get there. I'm all about helping someone. I really do see the good in people.
Yolanda, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thought is similar to Regina as far as, I feel that relationships can work even though individuals come from different families, meaning that because you can come from a family that wasn't thriving, they had a conflict, they had a lot of drama in their childhood, but they're determined to not have that same drama, that same conflict in their life. So even though they have that family, because the family is their family, they see a different path for themselves. And and like I said, it's because they see other examples. And sometimes, as we grow up and our kids grow up, they see the family that has the father and the mother in the household, and they may only have a mom in the household. And they just look at that and say, that's what I want. There's nothing I can do to change what decisions my mom has made, but that's what I want when I grow up. So, as Regina said, that unevenly yoke, sometimes individuals can thrive, even though they come from different backgrounds. It's just that they have to have the same mindset, they have to have the same drive, and the goals have to be the same. And that's really the most important thing, because individuals can, even from a household that has a mother and father, they can have the mother and father, and the mother and father could be very hard or very vocal about them thriving and pushing and pushing and pushing. And that's something that they don't want to see in their life. So then they're like, okay, yes, I have a mom and dad home, but my mom and dad, as kids would say, they ride me all the time. I mean, they're always on me that I'm not doing enough or accomplishing what I should be accomplishing. But at the same token, they will eventually get it. They will see the reason why the parents are pushing them. And then they will grow on in life and say, hey, I'm looking for someone that's going to have that same drive. Maybe not as push and big lighter under them, but it's going to get you to that next, journey.
So let me ask you this question, since we are unfiltered and we are rooted and real in this conversation. Are you pulling from personal experience?
I'm pulling from personal experience because some of my kids have chosen individuals in their lives that they weren't on, if you want to say the same level as our family was on. They came from families that didn't have a mother and a father in the household, but they saw a situation that they wanted something to be different. I use that same example. I grew up in a family where I had my mom and dad were in the house together. They raised all eight of us.
Oh, eight?
Yeah, it was eight of us. And so
Where do you fall in eight?
I'm the baby of the eight.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm the baby of the eight. Whereas Lorenzo, he grew up in a family to where he was raised by a single mom. But his determination was is that he wanted to, when he started his family, he wanted to have
Two-parent
two-parent household.
household.
And that was something that was his main focus. That was something he focused on.
Mhm.
But did his mom raised him to be a fine young man, because she was a single mom.
Mhm.
But he just saw that he wanted to have something different. And that, like I said, one would say that we were unevenly yoked
Okay.
in a sense. But to me, that's why I said I never use that word, because people can come from different backgrounds as long as their goals, they're determined to have the same mindset, how they want to raise a family, how they want to um, see their family and the area where they want to raise their family at. And he lived in the Bay Area. I lived in San Francisco. We moved all the way up to a suburb because we wanted our kids to have that life. And even though they probably would have been fine in the areas, but it would have been more of more condensed city life, taking public transportation to school and all that. And we were like, want to do some different.
And some people thrive in that. My daughter has a friend, and she they're married, and at the time they were living in the city, and my daughter is his little godmommy, and I absolutely 100% loved to see how she was raising her child. She had been in everything at a young age. Although he was in Manhattan, but there was in the outside in nature, even in the home, there were certain days where this week is red week, next week is yellow week. And she took time and she poured into him. And I would always like, yay, cheering them on. And because you have to invest in your children. And what people don't realize, everybody basically wants the same thing. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants to be loved. Okay. I can't say everybody wants a family because some people may not want to get married, but the majority of people do want to get married. What I'm hearing and I'm seeing in these streets out here, I'm calling street social media. The women are having so many problems conceiving. So many problems conceiving. And I'm wondering if it's lifestyle, health. I know alcohol consumption plays a huge part in fertility. Huge part. And people are out here drinking. I mean, drinking and then smoking, the vaping, the hookah, all of that stuff. That stuff is not good for your body. But when you come up in that party environment, and that's what you're doing week after weekend after weekend after weekend, and you're flooding your body with all this stuff. Then when you want your body as a female, I can talk about a male, but when you want your body to do what it needs to do and reproduce, and we're tasked and gifted with carrying the children, then when it fails, you're trying to figure out why. Well, you got to look at your lifestyle. You got to look at what you've been consuming. Because one gentleman, our foundation is helping, and he told me, he said he did the cigar thing, and he did it heavy. And smoking cigars affected his kidney. And then he wound up with kidney cancer. And now he's battling lung cancer. The kidney's been removed. It was stage 4. He's battling lung cancer. So our foundation and master herbalist Patrick Dells, we're trying to help him because the doctors have given up on him. So this is a plug for our Connected Through Cancer Foundation. This foundation was started based on our cancer journey. And although I run a cancer ministry at our church, but that's people that we're connected with in the church. I wanted to be able to reach people outside of the church because our friendship network is global. So we have non-blood family in Bangladesh. We have non-blood family in Ethiopia. We have non-blood all over because of our travels and stuff like that, and our kids and who they've connected with in life. So at the end of the day, when you look at all of that and you try to pull all that stuff in, it's like, man, you look and you see everybody is dealing with the same thing. The same thing. We're all the same.
Mhm.
We all want the same, whether you're melanated or not. The difference is sometimes we have a superior attitude and we think we're entitled to certain things. And I think we're all entitled to love.
For sure.
We're
for
all
sure.
entitled to happiness and we're all entitled to respect. So when you come back to that whole equally yoked, unequally yoked thing, you can look at it, Regina, from your point of view. You were talking about goals and objectives and drives and stuff like that. When Harold and I met, we first started dating, we sat and we had conversations where he was telling me where he wants to be in 5 years, where he wanted to be in 10 years, where he wanted to be in 15 years. Like he had a plan, you know? And we don't have those conversations. I don't hear people, young ones, having those conversations. It's all about the bag, how much money I can get, what vacations we're gonna take. Um, and I get it. They're not waiting because the generations are different. You understand what I'm saying? It took a minute to like travel out of the country, you know. These young ones coming out of college, they're traveling out of country before they hit high school, before they come out of high school. Um, we don't do gap year in the United States. They do gap year in Europe. And gap year is once you graduate high school, you take a whole year and you kind of travel the world, you figure yourself out. In the US, we don't have that plan.
Yeah.
You know,
Because parents are not allowing, parents are like, you don't have a gap year. You gotta figure out what you're
Right.
gonna do.
Yeah, a lot of
because you're
people
getting
don't
up
have
out
the
of my
luxury.
house.
The
Look, you're
luxury
getting
of
out
the
of
gap.
my house
Like,
because look,
gap yourself into a job. You can't go to gap into school. You have to go gap into a job. You know, so that is. But back on that fertility thing, I think you hit upon a lot of things there. I think not only the intake of alcohol and drugs in our system, but just the food that we're eating. I mean, when you think
Yes.
about the pesticide and why women are having more issues. I mean, alcohol and drugs have been around forever, right? But what's really changing in our diet that's really causing women to miscarriage, not be able to get pregnant, having all of these fertility issues, because we're seeing that more. And I do think, yes, people are having more intake of the other stuff, but really I think it's our food sources because we're trying to make everything bigger. You know, they plump up whatever they plump up the chickens with.
You can grow a chicken from an egg to adult in 45 days.
So
Oh my
how do
goodness.
they do that without a seed? Probably. I mean, so you were saying, we definitely made me think about like, wow, I'm always picking the grapes with no seeds, but I'm thinking, wow, you're right, that's been altered because
Genetically modified foods are done for various reasons. Some are to splice and create hybrids. Some are to splice and make them disease resistant so that they can grow, they can grow more. I remember kids were young. We were living in New Jersey. Ariana was like first, second grade or something like that. I volunteered at Rutgers Display Gardens, and that's where my bug got fed of gardening. And I was out there gardening 9 months pregnant with James Harold on the inside and Ariana running around the field, and Mother Somerset, another mother from church, she's sitting, I would bring her out. And I've always had a desire to grow my food. And there's a huge, huge difference in the taste of food. I did a test. One young lady was at the house, and we were talking about food, and I was trying to encourage. I said, well, you have your own home now. Why don't you can do little container gardening, in your backyard. And she was like, really? I was like, sure. I said, let me give you an example. I had some tomatoes in the refrigerator I had bought from the store. But my tomatoes that I had planted outside had just started coming in. And when those cherry tomatoes come in, they come in droves. So I said, come with me outside. We went outside, we picked some tomatoes, we came back in the house. I pulled some tomatoes out. We washed them both. And I said, try the one in the refrigerator first. And she was like, oh, okay. I said, now try this one straight off the vine. She was like, oh my gosh, what? Tomatoes taste like this? I'm like, yes.
That's gonna be a journey to teach the young people how to be patient enough to grow something, right? Which is where it needs to be. I mean, I do think we have to bring those simple things back, because that is how they're going to stay healthy. Because when I look at, even like when my mom suffering a stroke, I mean, you're seeing so many people being sick with cancer, strokes, high blood pressure, diabetes. I mean,
Dialysis.
dialysis is
The
huge.
African American market has dialysis on lock.
Online.
Yeah.
And why?
Why?
And it's
Food,
education. It's really
consumption,
about,
environment.
Yep.
10% of cancers are genetic. 10%, that's low. People say, oh, I got sugar because my grandma had sugar. No, you have diabetes because you chose to eat a certain way, and it's not sugar, it's diabetes. And if you pay attention to what you eat and how you eat, that's why I really, really try to push the health products that I sell. And I try to push people to do more herbal remedies. And Patrick Dells, he's a master herbalist that I follow, I work with. He's come to Texas to spring. I told him he needs to come back. So I'm gonna let you guys know when he comes back, and you guys come. If you can't come, then we can do a Zoom with you. But he will sit down with you and he will look at your blood work. And he will tell you exactly what's going on in your body with your blood work. Because your organs are supposed to function at certain levels, and there are certain norms, and there are abnormal numbers, and there are low numbers. And when you understand, say for example, fruit, we should consume fruit between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. After 5 p.m. we shouldn't be consuming fruit. That's because the body's processing of sugar takes place during that window. Proteins are hard to digest. If you're going to eat protein, we should eat protein breakfast or lunch, not later. Because if you eat it later, which, look, child, I haven't mastered it yet, but when you eat protein later in the day, it sits in your stomach. It's not broken down. And then that's where the gases come in, the bloating comes in. And until the system kicks back in to process it in the time where the organs start firing and doing what they're supposed to do, it's a negative effect on us. And then certain foods we should not eat together. We do it all wrong. We should not eat protein and starches. When you go to a restaurant, you go to a steak restaurant, what do they serve? Steak, potatoes, macaroni and cheese, French fries, any starch. They're not a good combination. So if you have diabetes and you eat that way, you'll never get rid of diabetes. That's a whole nother conversation that we can have. But I just want to thank you ladies for agreeing to, sit down and then just have this, real conversation about life. And I've been saying for years that the senior women in the church are doing a disservice to the young ones because we're not willing to sit down and have conversations.
Well,
and we need to do a better job.
we do.
So I say all that to say, Regina Whitlock, Yolanda Harris, thank you for not only sitting down and having this conversation with me, but celebrating with Harold and I. We were married 37 years today. Regina, you were 36.
Yes.
And Yolanda,
It's 44.
44. So there are marriages out there that last,
That's right.
that can last,
Mhm.
but you got to put in the work.
That's right.
You got to put in the work.
Mhm.
So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for hearing us. And if you are listening to this and we're, you know, making some sense to you, share this. If you want to come on and have conversations with us, hit a sister up and we can make it happen. But I'd say thank you for now. And until next time.